Hello everybody, my name is Edgar and I'm from the Bank Group. And today I'm going to show you how you can import SharePoint list data into Dataverse. In this video, we'll be covering how to import SharePoint list data to Dataverse, how to use Power Query, and how to call a mapper table. Dataverse is a great way to store your data securely and make data available to be used for business solutions. Knowing how to import your SharePoint list data to Dataverse is useful if you like more functionality to your data, so it could be used in business applications. So first, we want to locate the SharePoint list that we want to import into Dataverse. So we'll go over to SharePoint and find the list we want to use. So I know it's on this site, and then we'll just look here, and we want to import SharePoint pets. So now that I found my data and I know which site's on, we want to go back to the home page of that site and copy and paste the link at the top. Once we have that link, we'll go back to Power Apps, and then we'll go on the table we want to import this data to. So I created one called SharePoint Pet Example. Then we'll click on import at the top. Then we'll click on import data. If you would like to create a new table from your imported data, you could do that as well. Just click import data from the tables page, and then you can do that. And you can follow these same steps. So now let's choose our data source. So we want our SharePoint online list as the data source. If you don't see that here, you can also search at the top. We'll just click on this button here. Now it's going to ask us for the site URL. So let's just paste the URL that we copied earlier here. Then we won't touch any of this. We want to make sure that our connection credentials are here. So this is our account here. I'm going to refresh that and make sure it's connected, and it is, so we're good. So now once everything's correct, we'll click on next. It's going to load up for a bit. Okay, now we are able to see all the lists within our SharePoint site that we just copied and pasted. So now we want to find our list that we want to import. So we want to import SharePoint pets. So we'll click this one here. It's going to load up the different columns and data that we have. We'll just look over it real quick to see if it's the right one, and it is. But as you can see, there's a lot of different columns that we don't need. So in the next step, we'll be transforming our data so it can be useful. So now let's click next. Then it's going to look at, it's going to load up the Power Query Editor. So it might look scary at first, but it's super simple. All we have to do is click on choose columns again. Then it'll give us a list of columns that we want to keep. So we'll click on select all to deselect everything, and then we'll just look at the ones we need. So we need title, we want pet species or breed, and our appointment date. So that's what's important to us. So now that we selected what we needed, we'll click OK. And then we'll click on next once everything looks good. It's going to load up for us. So now we want to, since we already have a table for our data, we want to click on load to existing table. And then it's going to give us a list of all the tables that we have in Dataverse. So we're going to look for the one we need. It should be up here somewhere. Here we go, SharePoint pet example. So that's what we need. And then this is optional, and then destination column. So we're going to select the column that we want to designate it to. So our source column appointment date is going to go to this appointment date. Breed, it's going to go to breed. Pet species, it's going to go to pet species, and then title, it's going to go to title. Let's say we have a huge list of columns and it's going to take us forever to go one-on-one. Power Query has the option to auto map it. So if you click auto map, it'll automatically map everything out to the best of its ability. So it's always best practice to check if everything got mapped correctly if you do use auto map. But you can also do it manually as well, as I just showed you. So once everything is column mapped correctly, we click on next on the bottom right. And then it'll give us our refresh settings. So we have two options here. We can either refresh manually or refresh automatically. So what refreshing means is that since we're pulling data from a SharePoint list, it'll, let's say someone updates and adds a new row of data. If we refresh that, it'll automatically be added to our Dataverse table. But for that to happen, we need to refresh it so it can pick up the new data that was inputted. So we can either refresh it manually by just clicking refresh on our Power Apps table, or we can refresh it automatically. So if you want to refresh it automatically, we'll just set up a time where we want the table to refresh, and we'll just set it up here. Or if you just want to refresh manually with a click of a button, you can also do that as well here. So for this example, we'll just do refresh manually, and then we'll click on publish. And then that'll be creating our table with the data that we want to import. So for our table to be populated, we'll just give it a few seconds so it could pick up all that data. We'll just click refresh. After a couple minutes and refreshing, now we can see that our data from SharePoint from this list has now moved over to Dataverse. Thank you again for joining me in this tips and tricks video. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button and we will see you next time. Bye bye.